is
There's
just
No way,
way.
that's true. 100%.
is just insane.
Yeah.
And the fact that they still, as far as I know, they've not had to reconcile that with the bar, or have they done any of those things? Because it seems to me like they've kicked Alec Murdaugh out. They've rebranded their law firm, but they've got the same. I don't think she's a lawyer.
It's the same building, the same CFO.
The CFO is not a lawyer, from what I read.
But it is Russell Lafitte's sister-in-law?
Yes.
Yes.
They're all related. She's a non-lawyer, and she missed all of this stuff happening before, but she's still running their financial department now, which is just crazy to me. Because I would be so super fired, like way before any of this ever happened.
That's crazy.
It makes no sense.
And are all the other attorneys still there? Or are they?
They're all the
They're
same.
all there. It's the same exact operation minus Alec, with no changes from what we can tell.
Well, we know because she testified at Russell Lafitte's trial that she found this money that was missing, and it was just she never seemed to find when the client's money was missing and stolen, but she happens to notice when her money was.
Yeah, Gloria Satterfield's kids never got their settlement.
Not one penny.
No red flags. That was what, 2015? Or a little bit after, when they settled it?
The picnic kid died in a horrible wreck. His money gone. Nobody picked up on that, but they picked up when their $792,000 went missing, and that is just unforgivable.
That just tells you they're
bullshit.
not reconciling their trust accounts.
Right. They're not doing what they're supposed to do under the law and the rules.
Because there should be all those spreadsheets like we have that our clients get a copy of,
and we
so
know
you can
this,
match up all the numbers.
and this fuels what we all know and what we've all learned about these lawyers and this law firm, is that they are very powerful. They're so powerful that let me tell you something. If there's $25 missing from our trust account, and somebody finds out, and it's not, the bar will be in, and there will be an audit of our account, and we will have to answer for anything and everything, and we know that. But for the sheer fact that we're not seeing that in this law firm, that just goes to tell us really how powerful they are, and what everyone all up here are willing to do to protect them.
Yeah.
We also we've heard from the CFO of the law firm, the firm as they call it, and then we heard from the head of Palmetto State Bank, and
Who's Russell Lafitte's cousin?
is Russell Lafitte's
So they're all
cousin.
related.
Yeah.
So weird.
And then we've also heard from I think it's Ronnie Crosby, who was a partner at PMPD, the firm, and it's really crazy because during his testimony today, he's trying to distance himself from Alex, right? He's trying to say, well, we weren't really good friends. Like, we weren't real friends, and I don't really like him, and and he's trying to blame that the bank should have known. Like, how are we supposed to know? The bank should have known that they were like stealing money, which is crazy because he still banks with Palmetto State Bank, and their firm still banks with them. He admitted to that on the stand. So he's trying to push it over there, blaming somebody else, distance himself from it, but then he's right smack down in the middle of the shit show. And he hasn't anything to change it or to make it better, to ensure that this is not going to happen again. And if you knew that a bank, and we know that Russell Lafitte has already said the whole board, we've got these recordings, and the whole board was in on it. I mean, he said it in an interview this weekend. Why are you still banking with these people?
Why would you trust them with your client's money?
Yeah, your money or your client's money.
Yeah.
It's just more than I can handle.
I don't know why that hasn't. I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
But what I did pick up on, which in like the murder side of it with Alec, was when the CFO testified that she had that conversation with him about the missing attorney's fees
On the same day.
and then that conversation was cut short because he got a call that his dad was in hospice, and then Maggie and Paul are murdered. And then there was a pending, I guess he had that hearing scheduled for his financials to be audited in the boat wreck case on
them
June
to have
10th,
to produce it, right?
3 days after. And so the stress that he had been under. I know you are very strongly, you always say you don't think he killed his kids because he just couldn't. But I try to, a person in that frame of mind under that kind of stress.
Can I confess something? I want to confess something.
Here we go.
I don't know if I feel like that anymore.
I just think, he's not, I think that goes to show that he's not in the state of mind where Amy's saying a father could never do that to his wife and to his son. I don't know that Alec was a normal father in that state of mind with all the stuff that was going on, because he had been stealing all this money and he was just, they were going to find out on June 10th. And
jig
his
was
law
up.
firm just found out. And then his dad, who is all powerful, is about to
The
die.
one person who could protect him.
The one person who could fix it all is about to die. And so I just think motive for me
Yeah.
and him makes it's all sort of coming together.
But what would the motive be? Like, what would the reason for killing
Well,
them
we
be?
also know
If
that
that-
it's been reported that Maggie had went to a divorce attorney, right?
So she was auditing him too.
Yeah. The jig was up. And even if he didn't kill him, he knows who killed him. And I really, truly believe that he was there when they were killed.
Yeah, because the timeline
2 guns,
thing,
right?
Yeah.
2 guns, but then moving into the murder thing. If
Let's
we're ready
get
to
going.
move
Let's do this. Yes.
So, last time, I think we talked about the motions that were filed, and one of the motions was that the prosecutor said, they filed a notice of alibi motion, basically, which, so Rule 5 of the Rules of Criminal Procedure say the prosecutors ask you to provide your alibi defense. If you're going to use one, you have to respond within 10 days with your exact location and the name and address of the witnesses that you're going to use to prove you were there. And so an alibi, right, is the location you were at when the crimes were committed. So I wasn't there. I was at McDonald's. You have to say, I'm going to call the McDonald's
manager.
drive-through employee and I have my receipt and this is how I'm going to show it. And in return, the prosecutors have to respond with how they're going to prove that you were at the crime scene. And so the prosecutors filed this motion that said, hey, Alec, if you're going to use an alibi, give us your alibi
We want
defense. Well, the defense responded with a motion that said, we can't give you an alibi for a certain time frame because you've never told us what time you think these crimes were committed. And I don't,
Which is very smart.
which is smart because we all been wondering when were they
Yes.
committed. So they responded finally. I guess, I don't know what happened exactly at the hearing, but I'm assuming the judge said you have to tell them what time you're talking about because on November 3rd, because it'll be 10 days on the 13th. On November 3rd, they filed the motion again and they said that the murders happened between 8:30 and 10:06 p.m. And 10:06 is when he calls the police. And we know that there was some kind of videos at 8:44 of all of them at the dog pens together. And so that's when they think it happened. And so now Alec is going to have to respond if he's going to use an alibi defense. If not, then he doesn't have to respond at all. But he's going to have to respond with where he
But
was.
if he
during
doesn't
that time.
respond, he waives any kind of alibi.
He
defense.
can't.
Yeah.
He can't
raise it.
raise an alibi defense.
Bring it
later.
up.
But then if he does, he's got to have to be very careful with what he says with that.
And it's kind of already blown, in my opinion, because I guess I also read that they've got cell data. Obviously, we haven't seen any of this, where he starts
want
up
to
his
so
car.
bad,
He leaves at around 9 o'clock. He leaves Moselle. So at 8:44, he's at the dog pens. At 9 o'clock, he leaves. At 10 o'clock, he calls the police. So
I will say
what
this.
happened?
So I had my physical yesterday with my doctor. Let me just add this in. And while I was there, she said, Amy, have you watched the new HBO documentary about the Murdaughs?
I did.
And I said, no, I have not, because I've been out of town. And she said, oh my God, it's amazing. She starts telling me all this, and she's like, and you know, I'm really into this now. And I was like, okay, yeah, me too. I do this whole thing. You should watch it. Give her my YouTube channel. And she said, one of his lawyers gives a timeline and it doesn't make any sense on the thing. And I went, what? And then I said, Sarah, watch that shit. I gotta know. I don't have time. I got little kids. I gotta go make sure everybody's got clean underwear for tomorrow. So tell us about the timeline.
When life gets ugly, justice is lovely. The lovely